Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kathleen. In today's video, I wanted to go ahead and share with you guys my January wrap up and my February TBR. So for the month of January, I didn't get a lot of reading done. I did read 3 books, which I still consider pretty good. I started off the month late. So basically, for the first half of the month, I didn't read at all. For the first week, I was actually in Ireland. I did film my experience, so I do have a video that's going up very soon. I have a lot of footage to go through, and so that's why the video hasn't gone up yet, but I promise it will be going up very soon. And then I caught the flu when I got back, so I was down for like a whole week. It was so miserable. And then I finally picked up my first book in the 3rd week of January, and so far I have been reading quite a bit. But let's go ahead and get started with the books that I read during the month of January first, and then we'll finish off with my February TBR. So the first book that I read during the month of January was a great start to this year because I absolutely loved this book, and it was The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. This book has been so hyped up on BookTube. Everybody has been praising this book, and I understand why. This book was so entertaining. It is supposed to be a historical fiction, but it reads like a contemporary, and we follow this guy named Monty, and he's going on a grand tour of Europe, and he's going with his best friend Percy, who he happens to be in love with, and Percy is also a person of color. He's also going on this grand tour with his sister Felicity, and I absolutely loved this book. It was so fun. Personality is just so adorable. He's so lovable. He's very smart, but he just makes so many stupid decisions. He loves to party, and he loves hooking up with people. He is a bisexual main character, but all he wants out of life is Percy. That's the person he's in love with, his best friend, and I really just enjoyed their adventure together. And so I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I would highly recommend everyone to read, and there is going to be a sequel to this book. It's The Lady's Guides to Petticoats and Piracy, I believe it's called, and it's based on Monty's sister Felicity, and I'm so excited. And then the next book that I read was another incredible book that I read, and it is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone by J.K. Rowling, and this is the beautiful illustrated edition of the book. So it's been many years since I read a Harry Potter series, and I decided that I wanted to reread the series. I've been wanting to do it for a while, but I've always been pushing it back, and so I decided that this year was going to be the year that I reread the Harry Potter series, and I'm reading 1 book every month. And I started off with the first book, of course, and I wanted to read my illustrated editions. Again, I gave this book 5 stars. It was just so fun, and it was just very nostalgic to kind of jump back into this world and get to know the characters all over again and their adventures, and the illustrated edition just kind of made it more immersive, and I cannot wait to dive into the next book. Alright, and so the next book that I read is a book that kind of put a damper on my month. I started off the month really great with the first 2 books that I read, and then I read this, and it is Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. Now don't get me wrong, I liked the story. I liked the love interest, St. Clair. Even though he has his issues and his flaws, I liked him, and I liked the side characters. My issue with this book is Anna. She is the most annoying, self-centered main character I have read about ever. I don't like her. I can honestly say I despise her. She thinks about no one but herself. She complains non-stop, and it's like the world is out to get her. Lily C. Reeds actually did a great review on this book. She ranted because she also hated Anna, and she said at the very beginning of the video, she said how this book is in first person, so we're reading from Anna's perspective. We are in the mind of Anna, and she says that reading from the mind of Anna, seeing everything through Anna's perspective, is a fate worse than death, and I agree with that 100%. I honestly, I'm sorry for those of you who liked Anna. What the sad thing is I really liked the rest of the story. Regardless, I gave this book 3 stars. It's up. Alright, so that was all for my January wrap up. Let's go ahead and get into the books that I'm planning on reading during the month of February. So the first book that I'm planning on reading during the month of February is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. This is the illustrated edition. Again, as I said, I am planning on rereading the entire Harry Potter series during this year. I'm reading a different one every month because I really want to read my illustrated editions, the first 3 books, because only the first 3 books in the illustrated edition are out. Isn't it gorgeous? this. Like, it's so beautiful. I really love these illustrated editions. Alright, and then the next book that I'm planning on reading during the month of January is Zenith by Sasha Alsberg and Lindsay Cummings. So we all know about this book. It is hugely hyped up. It is a sci-fi book set in outer space, and initially I wasn't going to read this book. I was going to wait until all the reviews came out before I made my decision to purchase this book, but this is the book pick of the month for both of the book clubs that I'm part of. So the BIBLIO Squad's book pick of the month is this book for the month of February, and also the Once Upon a Read Along book club that I'm a new member of, I'm the new co-host, made this book also the book pick of the month, and so I have to read this book. But I've been hearing both sides of the argument when it comes to this book. I've been hearing a lot of great things about it, but then again I also been hearing a lot of mixed reviews. So I'm very curious going into this book to see whether I'm going to enjoy it. Now, I don't know what it's about. I do know that there's a girl named Andromeda, and she's called the Bloody Baroness or something, and she's part of this all-female space crew, and they're going on this adventure, and something bad happens. That's all pretty much that I know about this book, and it's a pretty good thing because I want to go into this book blind. I don't. Alright, and then the next book that I'm planning on reading is actually a book that I already started, and it is Every Day by David Levithan. So I decided to pick up this book because the movie is coming out. It's coming out in a few weeks, and I'm really curious to see the movie. Now, the premise of the story sounds really interesting. So this is about a person. It's a genderless person. This person is called A, and every day A wakes up in a different body, whether it's a female body or a male body, but they're always 16 years old. One day, A wakes up in this body of this boy who has this girlfriend named Rhiannon, and A kind of falls in love with Rhiannon, and then every other day since, he's kind of trying to not forget about her. He's trying to find her. I don't know too much about it. I'm only about 60 pages in, and so far I really enjoy it. I'm excited for the movie, but let me know also if you guys have read this book and what you thought about it. Alright, and the next book on this list, I'm ashamed to say, is on this list because I was supposed to read it in January and I didn't, and it is Nil by Lynn Matson. So this was my wrapped book for the month of January. In case you are new to my channel, you don't know what I'm talking about. Last year in December, I took 14 books that have been on my shelf the longest. So I went back through the beginning of my channel and I watched my first book haul, and I took out 12 to 14 books that have been on my shelf the longest. And so every month I'm going to unwrap at least one book and try to get that book read during that month. It's just to try to get those older books, the books that have been on my shelves the longest, out of my TBR. So this was my wrapped book for the month of January, and I didn't get to it, but I am going to read this month. But that means, of course, I will be reading 2 unwrapped books this month, and I'm totally okay with that, I think. Alright, and speaking of wrapped books, this is the wrapped book for the month of February. So I went to my dad this time because last month my mom picked my wrapped book, and so this month I asked my dad to pick a number between 1 and 14 that's not 7, because 7 was January's book. So he went and very uncreatively and just said 8, and I'm like, really? But this is book number 8, and we'll see what book it is. Okay, so it is a hardback, so we'll see. Oh, okay. Alright, so this is called Hit, and it's by Delilah Dawson. So this is a dystopian book from what I remember, and this is a world where credit card has taken over the world. Everybody is in deep credit card debt, and so what the companies have done in order to get people to pay back their credit card debt is that they have been signing people up for indentured service, and they have to do things that they normally wouldn't do, things that are not necessarily considered ethical. I bought this book primarily because the cover was cool. I mean, look at it. It looks exactly like a credit card. And also because when I bought this book, I was really big on dystopian. Alright, so that was the 5th book on my TBR. So let's go ahead and just choose one more and see if I can get to it. And the book that I chose is Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard. So I finally read Red Queen a few months ago. I believe I read it in December. Yeah, so it's been about 2 months since I read it. And I really liked Red Queen. I gave it 4 stars. I thought the world was entertaining. I really liked the main character. character. So I have been looking forward to reading Glass Sword. I've heard mixed reviews regarding the second book. I heard that the next two books aren't as good as the first, but I'm trying not to let what I've heard affect my opinion when I read this book. So I'm really looking forward to reading this book, and I've been looking forward to picking up this book ever since I finished Red Queen. Alright guys, so those were all of the books that I'm planning on reading during the month of February. Let me know down in the comments below, how was your reading month during the month of January, because I would really love to know. I didn't start the year off that great in reading wise, but I plan to make up for it in the month of February. Anyway guys, thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like if you did, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. All of my social medias are linked down below, including Twitter, Instagram, and Goodreads if you'd like to follow me. I hope to see you guys on my next video. Have a good day guys, and keep reading. Bye!